Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth episode of the Network podcast for Assassin's Creed Initiates. I am Andy, aka EscoBlades, your host. I'm joined as always by Gabe, UbiGabe. How are you doing?
I'm quite good actually, thank you for asking.
And we're extremely pleased and honored to be joined by Raphael Lacoste, who is the brand art director for Assassin's Creed. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. Right. So, as we always do, we solicited some community questions from the Assassin's Creed Initiates community, which we'll be putting to you during the podcast. But I think we'll just jump straight into it. And I'd like to ask if you could tell people about your path to Ubisoft, how you got started with art, including maybe some of the education that you had along the way.
Yes, sure. If you want me to start from when I was a kid, I would say that I was a kid always looking through the windows. I didn't like school, and I was drawing, spending a long time drawing during my course, and my teacher hated me for that. So eventually I went to the fine art school where I learned photography and I would say art and media. And I found it was too conceptual. I didn't like a lot the conceptual art at this time, so I was more attracted by entertainment, 3D animation, 3D modeling. So I went to the National Center of the Comic Strip in Angoulême in France, and I learned how to make an animation movie. I had good teachers like René Laloux. He did The Fantastic Planet. It's the old animation movie. He was one of my teachers, and I learned a bit of his knowledge in montage and character design and environment design. So when I did that movie, I was very happy to learn how to create like everything, like environment, characters, animation, and everything. But after, eventually, I would focus more on environment design because this is something that I really like. And my movie was screened at SIGGRAPH 2000 and a couple of animation festivals, and that gave me like visibility and the opportunity to start to work in a video game company. That was called Callisto in France, in Bordeaux. So I was doing some illustrations for myself, and I built my first website. And Patrice, Desiree, and Yanis, they saw that website, and the illustration I was doing at this time were inspired by Arabian Nights. This was like this kind of Oriental architecture, and they were working on Prince of Persia at this time, and they were looking for an artistic director. So they were very interested by my portfolio. So they asked me to go to Montreal and to do the interview.
Yeah, wow. I find that really fascinating because obviously it's like a step into the unknown for you at that particular point in time. But the fact that you have like the bigwigs found your website, right? I feel like that's really inspiring for budding community artists or whatever who are thinking like, oh, how am I going to get known or how am I going to get seen? It's like, if you keep on working at it and you're able to show a body of work, who knows who's going to see your work, and then you could be the next Raphael Lacoste.
Yeah, but that's extraordinary. I mean, because like it dovetails really nicely into our next question, because I remember seeing a poster for the Assassin's Creed art team where you feature very prominently on it, right? Like you guys are all arranged in like a little triangle, right? Like I don't know that anyone has seen that outside of the actual team, but it's still, I'm pretty sure it's still hanging downstairs. But yeah, so one of the things that I was curious about, I had no idea that you went so far back in the history of Ubisoft Montreal. You were really there more or less from the beginning of when the studio became, I think a lot of people consider it a profound success, right? Cause
it was like first I think it was Splinter Cell, and then we had Prince of Persia coming out of the shadow, and we worked with the Jordan Mechner and from the original creator of the game. That was a great experience, very interesting, and I learned a lot because it's my first leap of faith from France to Canada and across the Atlantic Ocean. I was young. I didn't have a lot of experience as a lead artist, as a director. So I learned a lot from the floor and from the production. That was very challenging. It was difficult, but very challenging, and I think it was necessary for me to have all these challenges at the same time, to be able to be more mature and more confident.
But so you started here with Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, which was the return for the series, right? Like it was a reimagining, huh?
After Sands of Time, I was missing animation. I would say, the pre-rendered animation that I did at school, and working on matte paintings, digital sets. So I joined the cinematic studio, and I worked on cutscenes, like pre-rendered cutscene for Prince of Persia, Warrior Within, and Two Thrones. And in Two Thrones, we won a Visual Effects Society Award. It's a very important prize for the community, for the visual effect artists. So that was one of the beautiful days of my life. We went to Hollywood, and we got this award in front of people from the movie industry, from the film, from the advertising and from the television. So we were these small guys, from the video game industry, and coming, to get this award, and that was a great day. That was really amazing. So after cinematics, cutscene, art direction, I went back to video game on the next gen, at this time, console that we were at this time in 2006, I think, on Assassin's Creed. So I joined the production as artistic director for the environment.
And the rest is history.
So branching off from that a little bit, how would you say that games? How do you feel that games have stirred the imagination in this spawning iconic official, but then also fan artworks? So how do you feel that games have created this atmosphere where fans can generate their own artworks? How does that basically your impact on the artistic community? I think is what we're.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very exciting to see that we inspire a lot of people. I think that with the PS2, PS3, we already had a lot of details, and we had a better immersion in the games. So people were very very immersed in the game, and they would get a nice connection with the lead character. So eventually, as they spend a long time close to the character and in this environment, they like to recreate something inspired by their experience, because they have stronger and stronger experience in games. So that's great. It means that they, in movies, people would do a lot of drawings after movies like Star Wars and with sci-fi ships and characters and creators. I think it's the same, because video game is really getting closer and closer to movies and to animation movies. So they have strong experience, and it's cool to see that they want to express that in different mediums.
Yeah, and I think that the one thing that always struck me about the community, even when I was a part of that community, and the art community especially, was not only just trying to recreate the stuff that you've done and your team have done in the games, but then coming up with the OCs, the original characters, based on the universe, and then being able to put that on paper, via digital means, and those looking stunning as well in many cases. It was just fascinating to see that there's that immersion, like you said, and there's that desire to stay within the world and stay within the universe, and then come up with something original.
Yeah. And what is funny is sometimes you have this very secondary character. You don't think people will get that connection with him, but I was very surprised to see Yusuf in many strange interpretations, and the hidden story of Yusuf, and I've seen beautiful illustrations inspired by the characters of Revelation, for instance, because of the Oriental style, and I think people really like the take we had on the style, on the character design. So it's great to see that when you see people doing cartoony characters based on realistic ones, with a very good taste, very good sensibility. It's great. It's fantastic.
The one thing I really particularly like art-wise is the chibi style artwork. They're always really cute. They're always really tiny and really cute, but they still have all of the details, especially with the assassins and the robes and stuff. And it's So moving on from that, I know. It's fair to say that you're a veteran of AC and you have a lot of experience with that. What sort of advice would you give for those up and comers, budding community sort of artists, concept artists, environment, character artists, that sort of thing? What sort of advice can you impart on them?
because we have like within our community we have so many very very talented artists who would like to pursue a career and don't really know how to get started, don't fully have an understanding of what would be a good direction for them to move.
Okay. When I do portfolio reviews, sometimes the problem I see, from time to time, is that people would spend too much time on details and they wouldn't stay high level enough. So I think for instance for environment design, the most important thing is to focus on the image composition, find interesting reference and look back to the masters and learn how to build a beautiful mood, nice lighting, and cohesive images and have a very strong composition. The mistake would be to spend a long time on details, and you see the door, but you also see all the details in the wood. But at the same time, the image is not interesting, So I would say spend less time on the details, but maybe more time on trying different composition, different illustrations.
One thing I do want to ask actually, and it's so coming from when you were coming through the ranks, as it were, and you were learning your craft, and how do you feel it? I'm guessing you probably think it's a lot easier for artists now because there's they can spread their work via digital means. Obviously, you can put together a body of work, kind of portfolio, as it were, and just put it up on the internet. But it's and even in the field of digital artwork now. But it's back then you probably didn't have nearly as much in the way of opportunities like that and stuff. How do you see that?
Because of internet, you mean? Yeah. When I was hired by Ubisoft, it was because of internet. It was because I had a website on the internet, and it's you fish, you wait, and sometimes the hook grabs something, and somebody calls you, and hey, I have a job for you. Maybe at this time there were not a lot of senior artists posting the stuff. Now so many people are having online portfolio, so it's a bit harder to see really someone standing out. So the best thing is to post on forums, famous forums, and to be very very focused on what you like to do, and to work hard on what you like to do, and eventually to get a front page, from this hard work. I would say of course the front page is the best way to be seen, and also you can have spontaneous you send your portfolio to recruiters, and it comes to me, and when I see good stuff, I would answer.
Yeah, because you're quite active on places like DeviantArt and all these other art forums. So I'm sure you come across a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, we see very good stuff. We see a lot of potential. We see also some people that are doing maybe too much different stuff, trying character design, environment design, prop design, and something I think it's better to focus on something you really like and you're really good at, instead of trying to do everything.
Yeah. That which actually differs a lot from, for the most part, the advice that people who are trying to break into the industry are given in other fields, and maybe not necessarily programming and things like that. But with art, you're saying specialize on what it is that you want to do, or at least what it is you're good at. Yeah. Whereas a lot of the time people are told, get as much experience as you can from everywhere, because these are transferable skills that could help you somewhere else. With art, you really need to just put the blinkers on, kind of.
Yes, but also it's like in movies. Now we have a lot of specialized job, because it's a big industry. We on big games like Assassin's Creed, we are 400, 500, 600, 700 people working on one game. So, and it's huge. So we have really to focus with the specialists. People specialize in environments. People specialize in lighting. People specialize in character. People specialize in cloth. Specialize in smoke. And presentation, interface, UI. So this is why we really have to even in the portfolio, we really have to focus on what kind of job I would like to do at Ubisoft, what kind of job I would like to do in video games. When you work in a very small production iOS game, you can do almost everything, but it's a different style. When you go for something that is more realistic and with big and giant, you have to be more specific on what you want to do.
Let's take AC4 actually. Okay. A typical sort of art department within how many sort of people is that you're art director? How many people do you have that in some way report to you?
Oh, okay. So yeah, the challenge when you're an art director is that you have to be good at at art. You could be a photographer, you could be like an illustrator, but at the same time you have to inspire the people, to give them direction, and these people have to respect you and find like some inspiration in you. If they don't like what you're doing and don't respect you as an artistic director, it's not a very good start. So yeah, usually in the conception we have a very small team. We mainly have illustrators, so usually very talented illustrators. Usually, if I can choose just one or two, I would choose like very good illustrator. And sometimes we have the chance to have also level artists, so they are able to do like 3D benchmark of the environment, it grows, after a month, and when we are in production, we have like maybe 50, 60, 70 people in the art team. It could grow very big, quite big.
That's kind of a little bit daunting to me. It's like having to like impart my vision and to that many people and say, hey, look, so this is kind of the style we're going for. It almost seems, I'm trying to imagine it. I'm just sort of like, I don't know if I could.
Yeah, it's a big challenge. I know some very good artists that are very good at doing like their own stuff, like illustrations, photos, but they don't like a lot to deal with people. So you it's better to have like the best of the both worlds, like being like able to isolate yourself, put headphones and draw, and I don't want to see anybody, but at the same time be able to go to meetings and talk to people and deal with them to create something you want. Also, you have to be able to very, very clear in the direction you give to people. Don't change your mind like from day to day. You have to focus on what is you think a good direction for the game. So when you have like a vision of something, it's good to stick to that and to be like very consistent on what you give like as direction. It's quite also a surprise. When we were working on the first one, we didn't know we were creating something that strong, that big. It was very new. Like it's the evolution of Prince of Persia, but in a very like grounded historical setting, and it's a big open world. It was something very new for us, and I wouldn't imagine it would become like such a success for that. So it's fantastic to realize that we have such an impact on every mediums. Yeah.
So for those people who still say that games are not art, there you go.
Yeah.
Games are art. So we have some community questions from the Initiates forums, and so we'll put some of these to you now. We'll start with Ure, who says that AC1 was partly inspired by the movie Kingdom of Heaven, and the AC3 naval might have been inspired by Master and Commander. Were there any other movies that provided inspiration for your art direction of the other games?
Yeah, that's very good. It's very true. So and also we had for AC1 we had, I think, the name of the rose as inspiration also for the mood, for the setting. So yeah, that's this kind of movie, and particularly I would say for AC3, but also AC4, because we didn't want to do the usual family entertainment for for pirates. We didn't want to have like the cliche, the caricature of the pirate with the parrot on the shoulder on the hook, but movies like Master and Commander were like a very interesting inspiration, because they're more like grounded, historical, and realistic, and very, very memorable as a movie. So this kind of movie are truly like a real inspiration for us.
Cool. So our next question comes from a very familiar name, actually. Non-Dairy Gold.
Initiates Envoy. Extremely important guy.
But I could swear that I recall that name from the Brotherhood YouTube Q&A days. I don't know. It seems very familiar. And Non-Dairy Gold asks, thanks for your time, Raphael.
Thanks, Non-Dairy Gold.
A little birdie told me you were a photographer. Has it influenced your art direction in any way?
So I wonder who is the little finger. You have any idea on insight? Yes, I'm still taking a lot of photos, and I'm still spending too much money on cameras, on old cameras. I actually, when I was in the fine art school, I studied in photography and art and media. So I learned a lot about how to develop photos and I did a lot of black and white photos, pictures. I did also light rigs. So it's helping a lot, my understanding of image composition, lighting, and also now when I travel, just for myself or even for work, I like to take a lot of photos like for reference, but also like to inspire me for compositions, mood. So it's something that runs always in the background. I always like to take pictures and have like projects as photographer, not only like as an art director. It's also for now it's a bit of my freedom as an artist. So on the side, I'm doing like something that is not interactive. It's a bit different. I don't have the same constraints as we have, in a game when you have to do like a fully interactive environment. What I love to work on video games. It's different. It's not the same way to do like art. In games, I really work on immersion. With photography, I would work more like on making a beautiful image.
Would you say that that's something that a lot more artists nowadays have as a grounding in photography, or do you feel that that's like an advantage? Or
I would say like for sure for a lighter for an environment artist, it's really good to have a background in photography. Back in the days, not a lot of people were taking photos because cameras were quite expensive, and not a lot of people would like to spend time to scan the film and to do like development. But now it's so easy to get very good cameras that there is a lot of people taking pictures, and maybe too much. So a lot of people is playing with depth of field and taking portraits, and so we have many videos. It's also a shame because the job as a photographer is very compromised because of that. So because you have a lot of people like sending pictures to data photo banks and stuff like that. So it's pretty rare to have like a real like a career as a photographer. It's very difficult.
And I guess mobile phones and the likes of Instagram and everything gram now, everyone can just point and shoot. It's suddenly a lot easier to...
Images are like everywhere, so you can share that on stock images, and so but it's good to have a background in photography for sure for games like realistic games and even like stylized games. It's good to have a background in photography.
All right. Next question is from Kamikaze Breeze. I really love that username. Who says, AC games still look and feel like AC games. So what was the most challenging piece that you had to either create or had to change for a different game to keep the AC look? And he specifies clothes, people, building, environments, props, that sort of thing.
I would say that in the art team, the most challenging stuff is to create these big cities. Find a way to have a very seamless experience when you jump from rooftop to rooftop and from a balcony to a tree, and have this very like fluid, very seamless experience. But at the same time, it shouldn't look like a platform game. It has to look credible, like historical, realistic, and seamless and fun. So that's the big challenge we have on every AC game, to create like very immersive environments, very realistic and grounded environments, but at the same time have something very fun and very seamless. So that's also the style we get between all the games. This kind of functional environment. In each detail you can use the detail to climb and to explore. So it gives us a special flavor, the urbanism of the cities and the vistas you have, but at the same time the freedom you have in the environment. That's actually one of the key elements of the artistic direction for Revelation, organic. Because we were maybe sticking too much to the level design in the previous games. We wanted to have something more organic and more like to break the lines and be less rigid, less square. So we wanted to have also because of the setting of this oriental beautiful setting of Constantinople, to have a very contrasted city with the different 8 sloping streets, but also a lot of overhanging bay windows, wooden structures. So everything was looking more organic and more like interesting also, like in terms of immersion. It was very interesting.
Yeah, I think one thing that's always been great about Assassin's Creed, but especially in the latter games, has been that fusion, right? You can't be too sterile and be too on the, historically accurate and documentary style, as it were, but you can't be too gamey as well. It's like you've got to kind of find the right balance that people want to continue to play. A lot of the time, it's stuff that they don't consciously think about. It's not suddenly, oh, right, okay, so this is a ramp to go up. This is the start of my free running. It's just there. And it feels right because that it fits in with everything else.
Yeah, it's like in movies. I love the job of matte painter. I've been like a matte painter for a couple of years, but the challenge of a matte painting is to be invisible. So you spend months creating like a virtual environment, like a beautiful vista. But when people see the movie, they don't notice it's an actual artist who did that. But it's good because you don't say, oh, it's a digital matte painting. It's like, wow, it's nice. But people won't notice, okay, someone worked on that.
That's the definition of a thankless job, right? It's like, that's amazing because nobody noticed it.
It's the invisible art. That's special. That's very specific to matte painting. But if we speak about like, Revelation, I particularly love that game and that environment because of the sloping streets, because of the 7 hills of the city, because of the different style of the architecture, because they had this very poor area with crooked house, wooden house, and this beautiful, like very tall buildings in the rich district with the amazing Topkapi Palace and Hagia Sophia with very high minarets and huge domes. So it was very diverse and very interesting in terms of urbanism also. But we crafted everything, It's not like the computer is working for us. We have to craft every corner of street. We have to place every torches. We have to place every wooden windows. Everything has to be like crafted. So the player won't notice it when he plays, when he runs, particularly when he runs. But we try to create opportunities for vistas to have like beautiful places you can reach when you are on mission, and you can discover like incredible vistas of the city. So that's the challenge we have.
Finch51 asks, how much time goes into studying the architectural and cultural aspects of a time period that you have to work on? And do you have any unique kind of motivations, like things that you do to get yourself into like that mindset of, understanding a historical place?
When we start in conception, we study maps from the time and from the location. So we really try to recreate the exact location for each famous landmark. So that's the way you can really recognize the city, really feel the city. But also we take the map for the main streets, for the way we can split the different districts. And for Constantinople, we try to find the topology of the city, so we can feel the sloping streets and the different like levels of the city. But we also have like it's the bad part from the job. We have to go on the location. We have to do scouting. I'm kidding, but it's fantastic. It's great. How can you recreate a setting like a city that exists if you have never been there? So when we create Rome, we send people there and we do a scout trip. We take a lot of photo reference for the textures, but also for the mood of the city. You can really feel how it is to live there. When we were on Black Flag, we were sent to the Caribbean. Too bad. For work. So for instance, we went in the jungle. We went in mangrove. So for people like me, I didn't go in any like mangrove in my life. So it was the first time for me to see what is really like this kind of environment looking like. So really like you are immersed in that environment for real. So you have like a greater tool to recreate that in a game. It could be for a movie, but you have to do scouting to recreate a place when it's realistic. And it's also very important to say that we are not making a documentary. We don't want to recreate literally the places because it's not interesting. We can use just Google Map, in that way. So the idea is we have to recreate memorable moments based on the actual location. So we stylize the place, we fill the place as artists, and we recreate that to recreate moments, to recreate like the feeling of the place. So it's like the painters were doing when they didn't have access to photography. It's how recreate a location. I'm recreating that location through my eyes, through my feeling. So it's more like I would say like would do impressionists. We want to create moments and to create the feeling of the place.
You can also like divine what the affiliation is. Like you can almost tell which island you're on by who holds it and who has the dominant influence on that architecture, right? Like, I found myself being really surprised by that while playing, because it's not something that I'm used to. Usually you play through the game and you're on the ice level or the lava level, or not an Assassin's game, but games in general. And so it was interesting to catch just those little bits of nuance that would inform the entire experience, right?
Yeah, and you have to play with the scale, you have to play with composition, to stage the landmarks, stage the action, the missions. And for instance, I like the example of the beautiful Cathedral of Havana, because our artists, they recreated literally the same, but at the same time it's climbable, fully climbable. It's the Spanish Baroque church, but at the same time you can use all the details to climb and to reach the top of the church. So, and you get beautiful vistas of the city from there. So that's also the challenge we have.
Well, that was extremely enlightening. Hope you all feel the same way. But thank you so much, Raph, for coming on. We really appreciate it, imparting your knowledge about all things art. And thank you, Gabe, for joining us as well. And so, Raph, do you want to let the viewers and listeners know where they can find you on the internet?
Yes, for sure. You can like my page on Facebook. My page is ElRafo, ElRafo. And I have my portfolio online, as you can see. Also the movies I've been working on as matte painter. So I think it's interesting to see like the several stuff I did. It's www.raphaelph.lacoste.com.
And Gabe, you're on Twitter?
I sure am on the Twitter. I'm at UbiGabe, twitter.com/UbiGabe.
And you can follow Assassin's Creed. You can go to assassinscreed.com. That's the website. Assassin's Creed, @Assassin's Creed, all one word, on Twitter. And facebook.com/Assassin's Creed. For AC Initiates, you can find our website, acinitiates.com. Our YouTube channel is AC Initiates. So that's youtube.com/AC Initiates. And we have Twitter as well, which is @AC Initiates, all one word. I'm EscoBlades on Twitter. Feel free to follow me as well. And on that note, we're going to sign off. Thank you very much for listening, as always. And take care. And we'll see you guys again soon. Bye for now.